Hello, uh, Ben Roberts here with Mark Smith, and we're going to record a short little video to invite you into the Journeys into the More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know is Possible engagement stream that Mark and his colleagues at morebeautiful.world are putting together as a wonderful gift and offering to the Now What global gathering on the art of being fully human in a time of crisis. So thanks, Mark, for doing that. And I'll just say a little bit about both the larger work you're doing and maybe this invitation in particular for the Now What engagement stream.
Yeah, hi Ben. Thank you for inviting this group of people into Now What, and we're looking forward to meeting others that um, would find resonance with this. This project's actually started. I'm afraid to call it a project. It's more of a ceremony. It's a gathering of people that met exactly a year ago with Charles Eisenstein, and we sat for a week considering the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. And out of that um, grew some very deep friendships and this notion that if we gather our intention around what this new story is coming forth and how do we show up in that and how can we gather around that, that's in essence what brought us together. And now we're bringing these ideas of how to rally around the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible to create a 24-hour live stream that would help to raise the awareness of all the amazing, beautiful stories going on in the world that is giving rise to the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible, even in light of all that is happening in the world.
Awesome. Yeah. I loved that book from the second I read it. I was already tuned into Charles's work going back to a piece he wrote in the early days of the Occupy movement called No Demand is Big Enough on the, I think it was the Elephant Journal blog. Anyway, um, yeah, so I love that book and that phrase and your vision of this event, which is, I think you're tentatively planning it for, is it still, you thinking June 21st, 2021?
Yeah, that was the intention that we put behind it, so that we had something to focus on as a direction to head and say, we would like to manifest this, even though we didn't know what this was yet. And so we just set a date. Now, that's actually an open date because we don't know what the energy is being called for. So we're showing up asking, how can we be of service to what's happening in the world? How can we help to raise the level of awareness and bring others into these circles of energy that is helping to create the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible? Yeah.
So can you say a little bit about, the invitations you're extending for Now What, from March 23rd through April 30th? And, given that you're in this, you've been gathering for a year as a group, you have this vision of something happening next year. You're not quite sure when or what, but you have some markers on the ground, but you're still in this kind of formative stage. What are you offering to people who are participating in Now What, and how can people who are participating in Now What, who are inspired by the vision you have, how can they support the work you're doing?
Yeah, thank you. So one of the things we're bringing forth is the idea of nurturing our senses and tuning into the sense of community, the sense of place, and the sense of story. And the new story. What is that? What is it that we're all bringing forth to this life that we're and um, in order for us to pull this project together, we need people to step into it and help bring forth the stories that need to be shared, and then the actual story of inviting others in to engage in this, and then produce it. So we're looking to build out the teams for the story thread. What is the story? How are we inviting people in? How will we gather the stories along the way? Um, and then the production thread, we need people to step into helping us with the website, communicating, and then actually producing MBW 24 live when that does happen. And and then the story thread, the community thread,
So
and the production thread.
yeah, so you didn't speak to the community thread.
Yeah, so the community thread, of course, is now what that is the aspect of bringing people together that have tuned into this. There's something that draws them to either Now What or to the More Beautiful World notion through their projects they're working on, through their organizations, through others that they're working with, that they can come together during Now What with all the different aspects that you're bringing together, that we want to open the door and say, this is the more beautiful world. This is what's happening out in the world. We want to share this. We want to help amplify it and bring it together in a way on a focused day, 24 hours, where we can share either through curated or produced videos of people that are actually doing things, so it gives a sense of their place, or the community that they're engaged with, and you get a sense of what's going on with them, and that you may be able to engage with them or learn from that, and then do something similar in your place with your community. And then out of this comes the story, which is, what's happening on this planet to create the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible.
Well, I'm delighted to be supporting this, or to have Now What support it, whether it's my efforts personally or lots of other things that are being unleashed here. I want to take a second to just show people who are interested a couple of things online. I imagine wherever this video is posted, these links will also be there. But if you go to nowwhat2020.com, that's the main Now What website, which I will share. So here's the homepage. And then we have the invitations blog, which is where a lot of these kinds of invitations from this particular engagement stream, but also many other things are showing up. And here is the post specifically for Journeys into the More Beautiful World. And so if you go to that, you can see some of something that you can share, but it covers a lot of what we were just talking about. At the bottom, we have links to RSVP or get more information about a series of 6 calls that you put on the Now What calendar, starting on Tuesday, March 24th, the day after Now It begins. And you can click on any of those links, and you can sign up and RSVP for those calls. You can add them to your own calendar. You can see a little bit more information about them. And then these links are a page that you can also share with others, as well as just sharing this overall blog post and invitation. And then there's one other thing I want to show you, one other way you can get, show that you really want to get plugged in. If you register for Now What, again, that's back at nowwhat2020.com, you'll get a link that takes you into this registration and network mapping interface. It's through wonderful software called SumApp. And so that lets you put yourself onto the Now What network map, but it also lets you, through this tab here, this Streams, Partners, and Home Groups tab, you can see all the different engagement streams that are being offered. And you can find, so here's More Beautiful World. Here's the one that Mark and his team are offering. And you can click that and say, how you want to be engaged. If it's an engagement stream, we also have home groups, we have organizational partners, but in this case, you'd be over here. And if you want to participate, you can say that. If you want to just get some more info because you're not sure, you can say that. You can click other. Either way, you can put a little information here, and all of this is going to show up. It's not quite there yet, but on the Now What network map. Right now, we're just showing individuals. Didn't mean to just show Mark, but anyway, there'll be a view here soon. Right now, we have these 3 map views, but there'll be another one to look just at the engagement streams, and you'll start to see them on this as well. So that's another great thing to do to get plugged in. And then there may be some other things that show up. I think we'll be updating that blog post, right, Mark, to include some more specific invitations as those emerge. But it's also that you want to see who's showing up and who has interest, and go with that energy of the 6 weeks of Now What. Right?
Yeah, Ben, I'd like to ask you, what would you hope for, imagine for from the More Beautiful World engagement stream in Now What?
What would I hope for? Well, I want to see your needs get met. So you've named, you have these 3 different threads that you're looking for support on. You have a core group, and that's doing some work and has a lot of interesting experience in producing 24-hour live stream events and things like that. But I know you're looking for support specifically on gathering stories and telling the larger story, on the production side and how to actually do this, and on the community building side. So I'd love to see you find some particular people that want to support you on that. I'd also love to see you be able to, in some ways, prototype and explore, the kinds of things that might happen on that day in 2021 or whenever it happens, but have, test it out during Now What. So you and I have spoken about how another engagement stream is taking virtual field trips to different places around the world where stuff is happening. There are two of those on the calendar already. I think we've got a blog post up about one of them, or maybe not. Maybe I haven't created the blog post yet. They're on the calendar, um, and on the list of calls. And I think you're planning to do a few as well, maybe one for each of those threads. I'm not sure. So can this be a place to prototype, a laboratory? And if it serves you in that way, what we're also modeling is how Now What can serve all kinds of initiatives in those ways, right? And sort of demonstrate and help to um, develop the capacity of Now What to offer that kind of service out to the whole movement of movements for the art of being fully human in a time of crisis.
Well, we look forward to joining you and everybody else. We hope that you go to Now What 2020 or to More Beautiful World and More Beautiful World, and sign up for them and engage with us. And this will be an evolution of ideas so that we can engage those that feel a call to step into this. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Mark.